Do you feel like you never have enough time? Well, watch this, because in this video, I want to talk to you about the reason that you feel that you never have enough time, 3 shifts that will allow you to take back your time, and what to do if you feel like giving up on all of it. In my community of bookkeepers and accountants in the UK, 92% of people that I asked said that they just don't have enough time. Women are asking me constantly for help managing their time, their energy, overwhelm, especially when they're mums running their businesses. And I know that this can be a massive concern as you're working through your business, and I want to help. And I get it. The mental load never stops. It doesn't go away. We're always juggling the shopping list and the school run and the things the kids need to have in their school bag and the trip that we've forgotten and the school dinners that we've forgotten to book, as well as the friends that we've made appointments to see over the weekend and the play dates, and the people that we haven't seen for months, even though we claim that they're our best friends and our family, and all of the juggling that comes with managing all of those people. And I think that the guilt of always feeling like you're behind can be really challenging and draining. It doesn't feel good, and I get it. I find it really difficult to stop and to switch off. I feel like I always need to be doing something. In fact, when I do sit down and take a break, I'll usually find myself trying to invent some kind of project to give me something else to do, because I feel that kind of guilt that I need to be doing something all the time and creating something and starting something and being productive and seeing an outcome. And maybe you feel like that as well. So in this video, I want to share with you a practical 3-step structure for prioritizing what actually matters to you. I think that's a lot of the challenge, getting distracted by things that aren't necessarily the priority. I want to talk to you about a way to build momentum, but without burning out because you're just working because of guilt and shame of what you should or shouldn't be doing. And I want to talk to you also about what to do if you feel like giving up right now, because it's really real. I've spoken to lots of people who feel like there is just too much, and the idea of me running a business around all of these other things I have to manage is just one thing too many. The amount of people that I speak to who say, look, I've just got to take a step back for a year because I've got this big thing going on right now, and then they feel bad about that, and then that is like a reflection of themselves and what they are and are not able to do, and then we start berating ourselves. It's not good. And I want you to feel confident. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel successful. I want you to be successful. And so I want to support you with that. If you love this channel, if you're interested in seeing more of these videos, please don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me, and to make sure that you're seeing the videos as I'm publishing them. So let's talk about the reason that you feel like you haven't got time. I think it's possibly, and I've felt this for me, that you don't really have a kind of schedule problem or an actual time problem. I hate this, but people say it, don't they? Everyone's got 24 hours in the day, even Beyonce. And it's true, we have all got the same amount of time. We've all got different levels of responsibilities, different things that need doing at different times. And yeah, we do get to choose what it is that we put in our schedules. But I think that we choose to put more in our schedules when we are putting things into the schedule out of guilt. And I think that the problem might not be a time problem. The problem actually might be a pressure problem. And it might be pressure from other people, but more likely it's pressure that's being created by your expectations. The expectations that come often from comparison and what you believe you're supposed to be doing when you are looking at the other people around you. And we all have it, don't we? We all have people who we decide are really successful. I have friends who I always say, oh my gosh, they're a brilliant mum. If I could just be a mum like them. Or I've got friends who spend a lot of time catching up with people, they never forget anyone's birthdays, and they've always put that extra level of thought into things, and or are great hosts. Like, how many times have you had friends over for a play date, or the parents of friends from school and thought, oh my gosh, it wasn't as good as when I went over to their house and they did a barbecue, and all of those things. Like, we just create this level of pressure and stress for ourselves that doesn't help anybody, because at the end of the day, I am not going to be putting together a barbecue for you if you come to my house, but I'll probably get you a beer out of the fridge. And I think that we have to be kind of realistic about what is actually going to work for us, what we have time to do, and like what we value, because it's values driven, isn't it? The things that we see as important and the things that we're going to make space for in the diary, or the things that we're going to judge ourselves on in terms of outcome, are the things that align with our values. And when we feel that kind of pushing up, that feeling of stress and guilt and anxiety that often comes to us, it's because something is out of line. It's because we're trying to do something that isn't aligned with our values. So if I was to invite the friends over and put together a barbecue or something because I went to someone else's house and they did exactly the same, I wouldn't really be representing the same values that are true to me. Like, when have I ever done that in my life? But for some reason, we create this massive pressure and stress for ourselves, and then suddenly we find ourselves going to the supermarket the day before and buying all these things and trying to clean the barbecue up. And these are the things that take the time, which then mean that we don't have the time. Maybe not a great example, but I just want to highlight to you how the influence of people who we have decided are good at specific tasks can create this level of pressure that we carry with us, which leads us to start doing things that actually aren't really in our own value set. We need to be aware of that, because if we can remove those things, then we are freeing up time for the things that actually matter to us. And you know what? It's kind of okay if people come over and you say, I'm so sorry, I am never going to actually cook for you. Here's some crisps. I'm going to order some pizza in. There's beers in the fridge. If that's your way, that is your way. And that's cool. And I bet they'll go home and they'll think, oh my gosh, it's so good when we go to their house because they always get takeaway. Like, so, you know, we're all comparing, and we're not going to make anything better for ourselves. We've just got to do the thing that's right for us. That is going to give you the least stress on that sort of social comparison scale. So our time is going to expand, or it's going to reduce based on what we decide the priorities are. And I think that the best way to start to take more control over your time and start prioritizing the things that are actually important is to try and let go of that comparison. Try and let go of the guilt that you have that you're not doing things right or to the standards that you are creating for yourself. Certainly don't judge yourself by anybody else's opinions, because you don't know what's happening in anybody else's head. But also, I think that we as women particularly are quite guilty of multitasking. I mean, I do this. I'll try and fit in something that I feel is, I don't know, good for me or business or wellness or something while I'm trying to do something else. And it's completely not helpful. It's like trying to do cooking and be on a webinar or a meeting at the same time, you know, those kind of things. You're kind of like at best giving less than half of your attention to each of those things. So I don't believe, as much as sometimes we have to do it because we just got to fit all the things in, or because we feel we have FOMO, like we feel like, oh, if I'm not on that thing or I'm not at that meeting, I'm missing out on something really vital. What we need to go back to are like the values, the goals that we actually have, and decide, is this thing going to get me closer to the thing that I'm trying to achieve? Multitasking can be something that just creates real inefficiency and leads us to actually losing a lot of time. But the other thing is martyrdom. And as women, we often do that thing where we feel we have to carry everything for the house, let's say, and then we are tired and overwhelmed and worn out, but we haven't really asked for help. And I am certain that there's somebody else in your household who can help in some way. And actually, if we start to empower people to help us, everything gets easier, even if it's your children just like learning to put their washing by the washing machine or something like that. And, you know, these are skills that get stronger over time. And as much as it can actually sometimes be take up a little bit more time, if you've got to ask somebody to do something or show them how to do something or train somebody how to do something in life or in business, if you can make that investment of time, you are going to get some time back in the long run. And you're not going to feel that same kind of resentment that you feel often when you sort of think to yourself, oh my gosh, no one is ever helping me. I've got all these things to do and no one's helping. Have you asked? Have you asked for help? So try and let go of that kind of guilt and also that tendency to try and do everything, because it doesn't pay off. And when we're talking about your time and you feeling overwhelmed, and I think when you can go back to that, the reason you are here is because you feel time poor or you feel overwhelmed. If you can make the changes that are going to give you back a bit more time. Even if it's in the long run and it's today, you are going to feel like you're making progress, and that's a really nice place to be. So 3 shifts that are going to help you to take back your time. I want you to think about, once you know your priorities and you've decided to let go of the guilt and let go of the martyrdom and let go of the multitasking, I want you to think about having a schedule that is aligned with your energy and the things that actually really matter. I don't know about you, but for me, there are different times of day that are good for doing certain levels of things. And if you start reading up about what your hormones are doing during the day, which has honestly like revolutionized how I think about my body and why I behave in certain ways at certain times of the day, and you start to understand things like how your cortisol levels are rising first thing in the morning, you might see that putting particular activities in certain parts of the day can be really helpful. But before I get to that, let me just talk to you about what I think are the essential things to include in your schedule every day. Now, if you can achieve one thing in each of these 3 areas in the day, I think you're going to feel really good about yourself. And I think that just not trying to get a gazillion things off the to-do list, like who's got a list with like 50 things on it? I've definitely got one. I've got an Asana board that's got 100 overdue items on it. Now, I'm pretty certain that most of those things are not essential, and they're probably things that you're doing naturally anyway. You know, this is the thing with to-do lists. So what can actually be really helpful if you're feeling overwhelmed and like you haven't got enough time is instead to think, okay, what's the one thing I need to do today for my business? What's the one thing that I can complete that will make me feel like, oh yes, I have done that thing? Like, and it's that reaction, isn't it, that we're looking for? I want you to think about one thing that you can be doing for your body and or mind. So what's that thing that gives you that kind of peace or uses that energy, helps you to feel motivated and energized? For me, I don't have too much of a problem with getting exercise done because I'm moving around all the time, but I do find it very difficult to switch off and unwind. So for me, at the end of the day, I really do have a routine. I have a business partner called Joe. We often share a hotel room, and at the end of the day, we're both hilarious. We put on our little it's got like a headband with headphones in it, and I'll link to it underneath here. But I'll put on my little headband, and I like to listen to Headspace, and I like to listen to the bedtime meditations, and Jo will listen to her own thing and do her own thing. But it's part of my routine, and I'm only mentioning that because I know she would vouch for me on this. It is really crucial for me because I otherwise find it quite difficult to switch off. And I have suffered with anxiety before and found it very, very difficult to unwind. And what I found is that having the routine of listening to, without sounding like a child, a bit of a bedtime story where I'm going through a relaxation exercise and I'm taken to a place in my mind which is very calm and peaceful. It might be a beach, or there's one which is like a chalet in the mountains, those kind of things. That can be really peaceful, and just having something to concentrate on that is not the noise and the thoughts in your head can be really helpful for sort of mind, and I'm sure for body as well, you know, in terms of like reducing cortisol. So what's the one thing that you can be doing for body and mind? And then the third thing is, what can you be doing for your family and home? Something that I found was really bothering me, and I will tell you honestly, I don't think I'm a good cook, and I've never had a great relationship with food, and having children has been one of the most stressful things in terms of my relationship with food. Half of us are vegetarian. I'm vegetarian, my daughter's vegetarian, and my husband and my son aren't. It has been very difficult to work out how to have balanced meals that everyone will eat. You know what it's like when your kids are small and they just refuse everything, and then they do like things, or they only like one thing, or one likes one thing and one doesn't like something. I found that we were having lots of like freezer food, beige food, the same things, and the kids were getting fed up. They never ate it, and I sort of told myself this is okay, because over here where we live in Wales, we get free school meals. I don't know if it's the same where you are, but they were having their free school meal, like proper decent meal at lunchtime. And I thought, do you know what? They're having like a hearty meal at lunchtime. If they come home and they want a sandwich or something, that's okay. But there was also part of me, in terms of my values, like I was talking about earlier, where I thought, this does not fit well with me. I don't like this. I want to be like cooking for my kids, and I want everyone to sit around the table and be able to talk to each other and have a meal. And I've tried lots of things to sort of help with this. I've tried like pulling out the recipes that I know that we like, or I've tried buying food from Cook, and there are a few meals that everybody likes, but it can add up, can't it? And then recently I tried HelloFresh. We're probably about 6 weeks into getting a meal box from HelloFresh. It gives me a couple of meals, like, I don't know, there's like 5 meals or something that we can cook every week. And that is amazing because I don't have to think about it and all the portions are there. And I think one of the biggest problems is meal planning, isn't it? When you've not got that headspace and you've not got the time, and you've not got the time to go shopping, or you want to go shopping because you know you'll get the best deals, but actually your time means you need to do it online, and then you realise you haven't got things. When is this easy? So I found that easy for me. So the one thing I started doing for family is buying HelloFresh, so I know that most evenings we've got something nice to cook. We can cook it together. The kids love cooking, and then we sit down and we eat it. So most evenings we're having that kind of wholesome family experience that I've decided for sort of home and family. That's a good thing that I can be doing, and we all feel healthier as well. So, you know, it kind of ticks 2 boxes. So if you can decide what's essential, what those 3 things are for business, for body and mind, and for home and family, and you put those 3 things in your schedule, you will then get to the end of the day and you'll go to bed knowing that you've done the things that are important for your own values, not for somebody else. And then I think we start to like get that release. We're not having that same level of guilt and worry and all of those things that are coming up. So I want you to feel that, and I'd love you to think about those 3 things. It's definitely helped me. So the second shift that I think is really helpful is having this energy aligned schedule. I think we all have a kind of routine for the day, and your routine might look different. If, like me, you've got children, your routine might look different on the days that you've got your children at home or the days that you haven't got your children at home. And so there'll be certain things that you have to fit in on some days, but not on other days. So I think it's important to think about those 2 kind of schedules separately. But also having a kind of awareness of what your sort of routine is, your like circadian rhythm, and what that does for your energy can be super helpful. So there will be times of day where you have high energy, and that's usually when you wake up. For most people, you wake up and you are like driven by cortisol. It's why exercise is really good in the morning, so they say, and you can actually get quite a lot done. And I've tried this out actually with myself. Like, I like to get up, I like to have a lay-in on Sunday and have like a longer like shower and do all my things. But actually, if I get up and I come downstairs and I like start emptying the dishwasher or something, I will go off on like a cleaning frenzy. And I've realised it's because I've got that level of cortisol. So that is a really good time of day to do things like that. So if you can start to notice things like when your energy is really high and you're good for those kind of physical things or those concentrating things, or where you need to bring that kind of, I don't know, bubbly energy, that's really helpful because you can start to move those things to certain times of the day. If you can also spot the times when you have low energy, so for lots of people it's like after lunch we get this kind of slump, how do you shape your schedule so that you can do the right things in that time? So like replying to emails, for example, or maybe actually jumping on a call with someone might energize you. So maybe there's like a routine call you need to have at 2:00 every day, or, you know, once a day. Can that happen at 2:00, or will you just feel like you can't bring anything to it? Everyone is different, so you need to know this about yourself. And of course the other part of the schedule is like the time you have absolutely no energy and you are not happy to do anything. For me, it's that like time when the kids are like tired and I'm tired and I just want to sit down, have a cup of tea. There is no point me trying to do a piece of important work at that moment because I am going to be ratty. And so like knowing that and just going, do you know what? We're just going to sit down and we're going to do something together. We're going to watch a quiz and we're just going to sit on the sofa and we're going to do that, because at that moment, I don't want to get involved in like angry, tired kids while I'm trying to do something important. I just need to sit down with a cup of tea for a bit, and then I might have a little energy surge later on. We just got to know that about ourselves, because if you don't, if you try and do things in the wrong time slot, that's when you're going to find that you're not at your kind of peak performance. And when you feel you haven't got enough time, using the time where you have the best level of energy is when you're going to get the best results for the things that actually matter. You know, those things that we said we're going to do for our business or our body and mind or for our home and family. We want to do them at the right time. So the third shift to help you take back your time, I mentioned my to-do list with my 100 overdue tasks. That is not helpful I mean, it's a good way to track the things that I need to do. And if you have a to-do list, I'm sure you have it because you know you don't want to forget something. So finding a way to manage that to-do list is important. But in terms of measuring your success, I think what's actually much better is that I would actually like you to have a completely separate list where you have this like, ta-da, here are the things that I've achieved. Because for me, this isn't about removing the reminders to do things. It's about celebrating the achievements that you've made, because we do so much more than we think. And I think if we just judge ourselves by the list of outstanding stuff we've got to do, or you get to the end of the day and you've got 110 overdue tasks instead of 100, you're not going to feel good. But if you look at the 20 things you have achieved in the day, you'll be like, oh, yeah, do you know what? I did a really good job. You're going to feel very different in terms of your energy and your belief about yourself than the former. So I want you to think about the outcomes and the progress that you're making every day, rather than seeing this kind of growing to-do list. And finally, I promised to talk to you about what to do if you feel like giving up on everything. And I've definitely felt like this. I've felt like this with evenings where the kids have been going nuts and I thought, why am I trying to do this? I've stormed out of the house at bedtime and had to go for a walk around the block because I could not be involved in another crying bedtime. I have just had like complete panic attacks in work situations where I've had to leave. I clearly have a flight response when it comes to fight or flight. And I have often kind of, what's the word for it? Like grieved the simplicity of employment and really wanted to feel like I can go in, do the thing, go home at the end of the day and not have to think about it. There is that like real beauty about being employed, isn't there? Where we don't carry the same responsibility of being self-employed and calling the shots. Now, I know that it's not that straightforward with family, but when it comes to business, you might well have felt that as well. You know, why am I not just employed? It would be so much easier if I could just take my pay and I could go home and I could have rest at the weekend. This is your call. You get to decide. You get to decide. But if you're feeling like that, what I'd ask you to do is just think like, why have I chosen this path in the first place? What is the long-term goal that I'm trying to achieve here? Like, why am I here? Because I'm sure that when you started your business, or you decided to be self-employed, or you decided on this path, whatever this path is, you did it because you had an excitement or a bit of a sort of a fire or a determination around you, and you felt excited and you felt ready and you knew that this was the right time. So I want you to reflect on that, and then I want you to kind of give yourself a permission slip if you want. You might want to write it down. You might want to write something down, but I want you to think about something like this, and I'm going to ad lib a bit. But I think, you know, this is something about like, I give myself permission to do this in the best way I possibly can. And I know that it's not always going to be perfect and I'm going to get things wrong, but I'm going to learn. And I am going to give this the best that I've got because this matters to me. Because there is a reason that you started out, and maybe you want to write down that reason as well. Like, why did you decide that you wanted to do this? Because I just want you to know that you can build a business on your terms, or whatever that goal was that you wanted to achieve. And it's okay that it isn't always easy. Like, it isn't easy. It really isn't easy. I've thought before that becoming the freelancer or self-employed was kind of risky, or I don't know, for people who couldn't make work. But the reality is, like, work does not work. Once you've got children, work does not work. It's very difficult to make work. And actually, you can make self-employment work so much better, but it isn't perfect, and there isn't a defined process or a defined route for doing it. And this is why it's such a challenge, because we're trained at school and we're trained in the sort of whole environment, particularly in the UK, to be like right or wrong doing things. And unfortunately, self-employment isn't a thing, and parenting as well. They're not things that come with a right or wrong. They are things that have grey areas, and we don't always know the answer. And you'll come across situations that you've never seen in a textbook, and situations that you've never come across before, and none of your friends have come across before, and none of your business contacts have come across before. You will learn every time that there's a challenge, you'll learn that, first of all, you'll learn the answer, or you'll learn what didn't work, but you'll also learn that you are able to make decisions and figure things out. And I think it's that being able to figure it out is really the success. That's really the thing that we're trying to like get really good at, isn't it? So there's no perfect solution. If you feel like you never have enough time, I'm sorry to say that there isn't a perfect fix. There are lots of people who will say there's like this method or this way that you want to do it. I agree that there are certain things that you need to have in your schedule. If you can prioritize the things that feel important to you based on your values, remember those 3 things, the thing for the business, the thing for your family and home, the thing for your mind and body. If you can do those things, you are going to feel like you are calling the shots, and then you will start to feel that you do have enough time for the right things. That's where I want you to be. If you found this video helpful, please share it with somebody that you think it will help, and leave me a comment underneath to let me know what you are going to change about your schedule so you feel that you have more time, because I'd love to know. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening.